Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's video. Sorry for the slow content lately. I'm currently awaiting a new camera setup that will make filming videos much easier for this channel. So once that all comes in, I'm going to try and average weekly uploads. Expect that to start up in January or possibly the end of this month. I'm also going to try and have a new video out soon that will tell you what this channel is all about and what you'll find here, because I know there's people subscribed for a number of different things that I have to offer. Anyways, to today's topic, I'm sure you can tell by the name of this video, I'll be showing you guys my Overkill 1150 watt backyard sound system. The intent was to evenly distribute sound throughout my backyard so it can be a comfortable listening level no matter where you are in the yard. But at the same time, I love live music and I'm in a family full of musicians, so I wanted to make sure this system still had plenty of power to support all the instruments we could possibly be plugging into it. The main use of the system is wiffle ball games. Yes, I kid you not. You'll see these light poles and, well, yep, that's what they're for. But that's a video for another time. So, in October of 2020, I started this up and settled for these two Theater Solution 2R8Gs, which have an 8-inch woofer for nice deep bass, and apparently they do have a tweeter. They come in at a whopping 250 watts RMS each, which is plenty of power for the band. At the time, they retailed on Amazon for $100, and some people did complain about their audio quality and others thought it was fine, and I will say their high frequency response is a little weird, but it's nothing an EQ can't fix, and I'll show you the EQ I'm using later in the video. I will say the EQ makes these things sound really good, really deep bass, and the trebles sound much better. Their rated frequency response is 50 Hz to 20 kHz, and these speakers are also rated at 8 ohms. I'll leave a data sheet for all four of these rock speakers at the end of the video. I use 16 gauge Amazon Basic speaker wire for these speakers, as you can see in the pictures. In March 2021, it was time for phase 2 of the system. I needed a clearer sound at home plate, so I bought a JBL Control 25 off eBay for $80. Put it up and wired it in parallel with the other two rock speakers I just described. This was a mistake. It works just fine and still sounds great, but the JBL has much better higher frequency response than the rock speakers. So when I later added the 31 band EQ, this made tuning a challenge, but I worked with it. I even positioned this speaker in a way that you can hear it clearly on the deck. This speaker has a frequency response of 80 Hz to 16 kHz and is rated at 150 watts RMS and is also 8 ohms. Its high frequency response is rated lower than the rock speakers, but it still sounds better. I again used 16 gauge Amazon Basic speaker wire and tucked it neatly behind the siding so no holes had to be drilled, and it'll be an easy takedown in the future. Then finally, in April 2021, I got two more Theater Solutions 2R8Gs for the very back of the yard to cover outfield. The mistake I made with these is I cheaped out and bought 14 gauge CL3 wire instead of 12 gauge CL3 wire, which for those of you who know, 12 gauge wire is bigger and better for longer cable runs with low impedance speakers like these. There's over 100 feet of 14 gauge wire and 25 feet of 16 gauge wire that carry power to these. This one on the left is a little louder than this one on the right because of that. Even then, I'm convinced I'm the only one that's noticed. Other than that, these also sound great and complete what I was after. Evenly distributed sound at a comfortable listening level, but enough power to really make some noise when you need it. Alright, it's time to show you guys what powers this epic system. Well, at least I think it's epic. For power distribution, surge protection, and apparently noise filtering as well, we have the Pyle PCO 850 powering this entire system. Directly below that, we have the EMB Professional dual 10-band EQ and input selector. This does have mixed reviews and is made sort of cheaply, but it does what I need it to do, and it looks pretty nice on that rack, despite the extremely bright blue LEDs. Do note that it does not display any sort of EQ on the screen. However, it does display an accurate signal level output, and the EQ settings do work. I have a Bluetooth receiver on one of the inputs and an aux in for another, with two more open inputs for a TV or anything RCA cable related that I might want later. Next, we have the Technics SAGX 130, which its main purpose is to power the indoor speakers, which I will do a video on at some point, but I did used to have the outdoor speaker system hooked up on Zone B of this amp. However, I needed more power and a separate EQ, so we moved on to this. The Crown XLS 1002, capable of 215 watts per channel at 8 ohms, 350 watts at 4 ohms, this is what I'm running it at, and 550 watts at 2 ohms, again, per channel. It can be bridged and can put out 1,100 watts at 4 ohms bridged. It also has an optional built-in crossover mode for low and high frequencies and a bunch of other monitoring features built in. As far as I can tell, this is a fantastic amplifier and I highly recommend it. If you all would like to see a video on this amp, let me know in the channel's discussion section. Moving on to the Behringer, I think that's how you pronounce it, Ultragraph Pro FBQ 3102 HD Dual Channel 31 Band Stereo Equalizer. Wow, that's a long name. But you know what? It sums it up really well. I use this to amplify the signal a little bit and mainly to tune the outdoor system the way I want it to sound. Channel 1 is giving a signal to the rock speakers under the porch and stairs and also the JBL Control 25. If you look closely, you can see I have the EQ set a little differently than Channel 2's, and yes, that would leave us with Channel 2 giving a signal to the back 2 speakers in the yard. Overall, I'm very impressed with this EQ. You have signal amplification. There's even low frequency limiter knob and high frequency limiter knob to cut out any frequencies you don't want going to your speakers. I have them wide open with no limit because, well, why not? This EQ has a few more features that, again, if you would like me to go over in another video, let me know in the channel's discussion section. And of course, we can't forget about the mixer. This is a Tascam Porta-Studio 464. Its original purpose was to record up to 4 channels onto a cassette, but as you can see, I use it as a 12-channel mixer for whatever. It has 12 inputs, but they are conjoined as 1 mono and 1 stereo starting at channel 5, so it's really only an 8-channel mixer. It has a monitor out, EQ, VU display screen, and a couple of cool selector buttons. There's tons more cool features on this thing. I'm just going over the basics and the only things I use on it. The EMB EQ is plugged into channel 5. As you can see, the slider is already in a set position. This mixer is what the band plugs into every New Year's Eve, and it's perfect. If anyone's curious, I believe this was made in the early to mid 90s. Finally, we have the all-important tape deck. Not much going on there, but it's there and it's not going anywhere. And that's pretty much all there is to my Overkill 1150 watt backyard sound system. Thanks for watching everyone, and I hope to catch you on the next video.